Jesus raised his eyes to heaven and said, "Holy Father, I pray not only for these, but for those also who through their words will believe in me. May they all be one. Father, may they be one in us, as you are in me and I am in you, so that the world may believe it was you who sent me. I've given them the glory that you gave to me, that they may be one as we are one. With me in them and you in me, may they be so completely one that the world will realize that it was you who sent me, and that I have loved them as much as you loved me. Father, I want those you have given me to be with me where I am, so that they may always see the glory you have given me, because you loved me before the foundation of the world. Father, righteous one, the world has not known you, but I have known you, and these have known that you have sent me. I've made your name known to them, and will continue to make it known, so that the love with which you loved me may be in them, and so that I may be in them. Holy Father, I pray not only for these, but for those also who through their words will believe in me. That's us. That's you and me. I think that's amazing. It's fantastic that Jesus at the Last Supper, just maybe even minutes before he leaves for the garden, and his agony in the garden, and his prayer to the Father, "Take this cup from me, but your will be done." Just minutes before all of that, before he's arrested, Jesus is thinking of us and praying for us. I just find that so hard to take in. Surely he had so much on his mind, so much he still wanted to say to his disciples, those who were with him at the Last Supper, those who were closest to him. And he did. But he was also thinking of us and praying for us. How many times have you said to someone, "I'll pray for you"? Or when you say a prayer, "I've got something to do, something on my mind, something's happening." And we take comfort in that promise. But here we see that in the life of Jesus too. Not just the people he's with, but those who through them will come to believe. And that's us. And it's the people who come to believe through us as well. I think that's fantastic. And what is this prayer? That we are one. I pray not only for these, but for those also who through their words will believe in me. May they all be one. That's us. Unity. Harmony, peace between his disciples. Not uniformity, but unity. That we are one. But what does it mean? What does it mean that Jesus' disciples are one? Does it mean that we're all the same? Or we should all be the same? Or we should strive to all be the same? No. We're not all the same. Why would Jesus pray for something that isn't of the Father's will? The Father created us all different, all unique. So why would Jesus pray for something that isn't of the Father's work? No. That we are one doesn't mean that we're all the same. We can't be. Does it mean that we have things in common? Maybe. Does it mean that we get along At least, do we try to get along? Do we try to live in peace with one another, in harmony? Yeah, I'm sure that's part of his prayer. I was looking at something the other day. It was something in the creed. Something came up in the gospel about Jesus sending the Spirit, or Jesus asking the Father to send the Spirit. And the problem is, earlier in the church, that some Christians say that the Father sends the Spirit, whereas others say that the Father and the Son send the Spirit. And Christians fell out with each other over it. We're all used to hearing of the Reformation, of Protestants and Catholics falling out and drawing lines in the sand and you shall not cross. But it happened long before that. Christians, Catholic Christians, Roman Catholic Christians and Orthodox Christians fell out over whether the Holy Spirit comes from the Father or from the Father and the Son. Why should we fall out over that? I think that's the kind of disunity that Jesus is praying against. He's praying that we don't inflict upon ourselves. May they be one. It sounded so simple when I first read it. But trying to put it into words, what being one means, that's not so straightforward. At least I'm struggling to put it into words, as you may have heard. But maybe it's meant to be simple. Maybe it's not meant to be overthought and overanalyzed. Maybe it's to be that kind of gut feeling of oneness. But maybe that's not good enough either. Maybe we need to think something about it. And I am struggling to put that into words. It's easier to say what I don't think it is. I don't think it's a oneness of faith. Not that we all believe exactly the same thing, because that just doesn't happen. We're all individual people. We've all got our own particular faith in God, our own particular relationship with God. Oneness in practice? I can't think it's that either, because if it was, surely some of our practice would contradict that unique faith that each one of us has. I think there needs to be religious freedom. We're all called to follow Christ in our own way, and we need to be free to do that, and maybe part of the community. Maybe that's the religious part of oneness. Not that we all follow the same religion in precisely the same way and use the same words to talk about it, but that we accept and encourage each other despite differences, more than just tolerate difference, that we embrace it, we celebrate it, that we are all different, and yet in our difference we are still able to forge a relationship with God. I think that's the oneness that Jesus prayed for. That there is a bond between his followers that is stronger than any difference that exists between them. And the church that he calls us to form, the community that he calls us into, isn't a community of clones, but of individuals who have forged their own relationship with him, with their own unique strengths and weaknesses. and supporting everyone else who is trying to do the same. I think the oneness that Jesus calls for is more about building bridges than putting up barriers.